It's my personal pleasure to call upon the Chief Justice of the Philippines, but also a very, very good personal friend and a champion for the rule of law. May I now call on the Honorable Maria Lourdes Sereno, Chief Justice of the Philippines, to give us the keynote address. Chief Justice.
Honorable Eliezer Rivlin, the President of the IOJT, retired Magistrate of Israel, Honorable Adolfo Ascuna, Chancellor of the Philippine Judicial Academy and retired Justice of the Supreme Court, Ms. Mary Campbell McQueen, President of the National Center for State Courts, and indeed I confirm that their friendship goes beyond just personal relationship. It is a common commitment to deeply shared values, I think, which transcend nationalities and which transcend boundaries. Officials and members of the IOJT, members of the judiciary, fellow workers in government, ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, it is my extreme pleasure to welcome all of you a good morning. I hope you have had a comfortable stay yesterday, and I hope the hotel accommodations here are to your liking. And if you see any Asian-looking, very friendly face around you, would be surely assured that it is part of Justice Ascuna's team. And feel free to ask any of them any kind of personal accommodation that can be made for you and for your loved ones. We would love to bring you shopping around as well and seeing the sights of Manila. You see, it seems that we Filipinos always have deep in us a strain that tries to reach out to the other person, and especially if that is a first-time visitor to the country, as President Rivlin is, we keep on wanting to be assured that it will not be the last visit. So welcome to all of you. To our distinguished counterparts and contemporaries from the judiciaries and legal systems of the 28 participating countries, fellow justices, judges, judicial educators and non-judicial educators, court personnel and lawyers, I bid you all a very warm welcome to the host country, the Philippines, which this year is also hosting the ASEAN Summit and Leaders Conferences. And just 2 weeks ago, we also hosted the Chief Justices of the ASEAN for its special meeting. I bid you all a very warm welcome. And when we say warm welcome here in the Philippines, we mean it from the bottom of our hearts. It's something we deeply feel. And the connection between human beings is very important to us as a people. Thank you for taking part in this event. It is a great honor on the part of the Supreme Court of the Philippines to host this monumental occasion, as it affirms the Philippine judiciary's commitment to collaborate and cooperate with global counterparts in pursuance of the IOJT's objective of promoting the rule of law by supporting the work of judicial education institutions around the world. And it has been, to my recollection, 15 years since the first IOJT Conference on Training for the Judiciary was held in Jerusalem. Since 2002, 4 successful conferences have been held in Ottawa in 2004, Barcelona in 2007, Sydney in 2009, Bordeaux in 2011, and Washington, D.C., and Recife in 2013 and 2015, respectively. Now, I understand that the wealth of information that our respective judicial institutions have shared with one another has undeniably strengthened the coordination with and among our legal systems. We have, in the past decade and a half, shared, discussed, and analyzed significant sundry issues in the field of judicial education, from key guidelines to be followed in publishing bench books to challenges and opportunities facing the need for technical expertise in judicial reform and training, from the respective experiences and perspectives of the judiciaries of Singapore, Pakistan, and Nepal in the orientation and training of their judges, to the current developments in the methodology of judicial training in Europe, as well as best practices in the member states of the European Union in training their judges and prosecutors, from the impact of social context in Canadian judicial education to the Belgian experience in the management training of magistrates, from gender sensitivity, globalization, and good practices to the role of academic collaboration in enhancing and enriching judicial experience and education. Indeed, no stone has been left unturned as we thoroughly covered this multitude of training-related topics in the past conferences in our efforts to further enhance judicial education as a means of promoting justice and the rule of law. Thus, it is but apt and sensible that our theme for this year's conference attributes the potential of judicial education to core values and future innovations, as these go hand in hand. While it is imperative that we who are at the forefront of policy formulation and implementation in our respective judiciaries actively seek novel approaches in the improvement of judicial administration, it is more crucial that we do not lose sight of the reason behind our common objective of improving efficiency and accuracy in our judicial processes, and that is the protection of the rule of law and the human rights of our people. Thus, as we here remain proactive proponents of the advancement of the quality of judicial education, we likewise must remain mindful that we are doing so in order to have a direct impact on the protection of the life, liberty, and security of ordinary people. I have often said that a judicial system is only as strong and independent as the belief and faith of the people in it. In this regard, I trust that while there is still much to learn and share as we work towards improving the quality of education and training in our respective judiciaries, there is no doubt in my mind that we will accomplish the objectives we have outlined for ourselves through our continuous coordination and involvement. Allow me to remind everyone that the world has been seeing in many regions a resurgence of political forces threatening and harassing the independence of the judiciary. We note that in troubled times in the past, kings would demand that courts would pronounce their acts as legal, not because kings did not have the physical force to impose their will, because they had, but rather that kings wanted their acts to have the force of moral legitimacy, a legitimacy that many times was perceived to come from courts of law. It indicates to a certain extent that the judiciary in those parts of the world and in those times in history had a measure of credibility that politicians wanted to appropriate for whatever political purpose they deemed important. The judiciary, however, then and now, while needing to discharge its role in specific times and contexts, can only be a judiciary worthy of its name if its pronouncements are undergirded by core values that are rooted in its commitment to the dignity of the human being and that respect that such dignity commands. The judiciary must never forget the value of each human being, while also never forgetting that the community has interests that must be protected by reasonable restraints on the activities of individuals. The delicate balance required to properly evaluate conflicting positions and competing interests can only be sustained by a wise and mature judiciary that is unafraid to face the challenges of increasingly changing landscapes. Core values that uphold the dignity of the human being are what makes for the rule of law. And it is the rule of law that will allow human society to continue in a spirit of solidarity. The rule of law, in any time and in any context, will allow humanity to not only survive, but to flourish in peace and prosperity. It is my hope that the future of the human race, how well it survives and develops, is in large part in the good hands of the judiciary. In closing, I again thank each and every one of you for your gracious presence. I look forward to the forthcoming exchange of experiences and best practices of judicial education in a global context. My gratitude also goes to the Philippine Judicial Academy that is led by Chancellor Adolf Ascuna for spearheading this event. Thank you for your efficient and reliable involvement in enhancing the standards of judicial education and training, not only in the Philippines, but also worldwide. My friends, and please consider us from this day forth your dear friends. The Supreme Court of the Philippines is ready to assist in any further way to make this conference successful. May we all have a fruitful and meaningful gathering. Thank you once again. Pleasant morning to all of you, and mabuhay kayong lahat.
Now it's my personal pleasure to call on the President of the IOJT, the Honorable Eliezer Rivlin from Israel, to deliver his welcome message.